Hong Kong's most devastating high-rise fire in years erupted into chaos on Wednesday night, turning an ordinary suburban evening in Tai Po district into a terrifying scene of smoke, falling debris, and desperate evacuations. By late night, officials confirmed that at least 36 people had died, one of them a firefighter who succumbed while battling the flames. Another 279 residents were still unaccounted for, a number that left the entire city in shock as families waited anxiously for updates. The blaze tore through a cluster of residential towers in a large housing complex located in the New Territories. The complex, built in the 1980s and home to roughly 4,800 residents, had been undergoing extensive renovation work. As night fell, bright columns of fire burst through window frames while dense plumes of smoke curled upward, visible from miles away. Residents described the scene as unreal, saying the flames seemed to leap from one tower to the next with frightening speed. Authorities revealed that they were investigating multiple potential causes, including whether the external cladding, scaffolding materials, or renovation structures met fire-resistant standards. The rapid spread of the blaze had been unusual, far faster than typical high-rise fires, raising concerns that something about the building exteriors may have accelerated the flames. Initial reports indicated that the fire began on bamboo scaffolding surrounding a 32-story building. Within minutes, heat and wind forced the flames upward and inward, igniting multiple floors from the outside. Strong gusts then carried burning debris across the complex, catching nearby buildings and creating a chain reaction of fire. Hong Kong Chief Executive John Lee announced that a joint police-fire department investigation team had already been established. Their mission: determine how the fire started, why it spread so aggressively, and whether negligence or criminal action played a role. Even Chinese President Xi Jinping issued a rare statement expressing sympathy for the victims and urging local authorities to do everything possible to reduce further casualties and losses. By midnight, firefighters reported that they had partially contained the flames in 3 of the buildings, but the situation remained extremely dangerous. The entire complex, consisting of 8 buildings, had nearly 2,000 units, many of them occupied by elderly residents who relied on elevators, which immediately shut down when the fire broke out. Rescue teams fought against unbearable heat. Temperatures inside the burning towers were so extreme that crews often had to retreat. Falling bamboo poles, metal sheets, and shattered glass turned the exterior into a deadly zone. One deputy fire director explained that the intensity inside the buildings makes it nearly impossible for us to move upward floor by floor. Around 900 people were escorted to emergency shelters while hundreds of firefighters, paramedics, and officers continued rescue operations. More than 140 fire engines and 60 ambulances swarmed the area as emergency calls poured in. Some trapped residents could be seen waving flashlights or cloths from their windows, hoping to signal rescuers through the smoke. One woman, who identified herself only as Mrs. Wu, told a local television channel that she felt helpless watching her home be swallowed by flames. She said, "At a certain point, you stop thinking about your belongings. All I could hope was that my neighbors made it out." The tragedy is being compared to one of Hong Kong's darkest moments, the 1996 Kowloon commercial building fire, which killed 41 people and burned for nearly 20 hours. Wednesday's fire is now the deadliest since that event. The aftermath of Hong Kong's deadliest high-rise fire in decades left the Tai Po district in a state of disbelief as dawn approached. Emergency vehicles continued lining the streets, their flashing lights reflecting off scorched walls and broken windows. What had started as a routine afternoon soon became a catastrophic chain reaction, exposing weaknesses in renovation safety protocols and the challenges of rescuing people trapped inside aging residential towers. By early Thursday morning, rescue teams were still combing through smoke-filled corridors, stairwells, and elevator lobbies. Many residents had fled in panic in the first minutes of the fire, leaving behind essential belongings. Others, especially elderly or mobility-impaired individuals, had no choice but to wait for rescue crews, calling emergency lines repeatedly as thick black smoke seeped into their homes. The Fire Services Department confirmed that they had received a flood of distress calls, far more than they could respond to at once. What made this blaze exceptionally dangerous was the bamboo scaffolding and green mesh netting that wrapped around several buildings undergoing renovation. While bamboo is commonly used in Hong Kong for construction, especially on older structures, the combination of dry bamboo, strong winds, and vast vertical surfaces created an ideal path for fire to travel. Within minutes, flames climbed from the lower levels to the upper floors, essentially turning the exterior of the building into a burning ladder. Firefighters battled multiple fronts at the same time: interior fires, exterior flames racing up the scaffolding, and falling debris that threatened to injure anyone standing too close. Deputy Fire Director Derek Adamstrong Chan explained that entering the upper floors was almost impossible due to extreme heat and unstable structures. His voice, strained during a late-night briefing, conveyed the exhaustion of crews who had been working non-stop since the afternoon. More than 140 fire engines, 60 ambulances, and hundreds of responders were deployed, marking one of the largest emergency mobilizations in recent years. Firefighters perched on extended ladder trucks sprayed water into blazing windows, trying to cool hot spots long enough for teams inside to advance. Every advancement of a few meters felt like a small victory in a situation where conditions changed by the second. Meanwhile, families gathered at temporary shelters set up by district authorities. Volunteers handed out blankets, masks, and water to shaken residents who had escaped with little more than the clothes they were wearing. Some sat silently, staring at the glowing orange sky above the burning towers, trying to process the loss of their homes. Others anxiously asked officials for updates about missing loved ones. For many, the most agonizing part was uncertainty, not knowing whether relatives had made it out or were still trapped inside. Hong Kong Chief Executive John Lee assured the public that investigators would conduct a thorough inquiry. His statement emphasized not just identifying the spark that ignited the blaze, but also reviewing whether building materials, scaffolding procedures, or renovation safety standards contributed to the disaster. President Xi Jinping's expression of condolences added a level of seriousness rarely seen in regional incidents. His call for minimizing additional casualties underscored the urgency facing rescue teams still pushing through dangerous conditions. Residents of Tai Po, a typically quiet suburban district in the northern New Territories, never imagined such destruction in their community. The area, located near the border with Shenzhen, is known for its parks and calm residential environment. Now that ordinary high-rise complex stands scarred with blackened walls, collapsed scaffolding, and apartments reduced to ashes. Experts say this tragedy will likely reignite debates over Hong Kong's reliance on bamboo scaffolding and the safety of older public housing blocks undergoing renovation. Earlier this year, officials had already hinted at phasing out bamboo frameworks for public projects due to safety concerns, a move that now seems more urgent than ever. As the smoke finally began to thin, one thing became painfully clear: the city had witnessed one of its darkest nights in recent history. And for the families of the 36 confirmed dead and 279 still missing, the recovery, both emotional and physical, was just beginning.